My LinkedIn Live show called Founda Story. This is where we really uncover the real, raw, and radical founder stories of people who have gone before us and really done the hard yards, given it a couple of tries. Whether you are, have had a number of startups, whether you have founded the one business that has taken off, whatever it is, it's all about digging real deep into uncovering those hills and valleys, those ups and downs, the good and the bad and the ugly, everything in between, because that's what I believe is going to encourage the next generation of business owners out there to really pursue their own founder stories. So today on the show, we have the amazing, the one and only, the person who has an interesting story about how he's completely messed up his technology and his internet connection to get onto this show today, and gave me a little bit of a heart attack myself when I saw his LinkedIn message and his post that he put up publicly before he even jumped on the show. So give Julien your virtual round of applause. Julien Marchand, I hope I am pronouncing your name right. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Natasha. How are you doing?
Are you excited?
I'm pumped. I've been setting up, trying to find a modem that works, and I'm connected. The magic of internet.
Honestly, what have you done to your phone just before you jumped on this live show with me? Tell us.
I read your instruction, like very clear instruction. It says, get a mic, check. Get a good internet connection. I'm like, come on, Natasha, I'm a professional, right? I've got my 4G phone. It's the best. Let's not talk NBN connection, right? This is not usable. But then, I'm like, I'll just get ready. I'll just do the dishes, and then I dropped the phone in the sink.
That's ridiculous.
And then
it's real life, though. You're working from home. You're running your own business. You're a coach, and you're a dad, and you end up just multitasking. That's the beauty of the role that we play sometimes, right? Especially you as a founder. Just to everyone listening, I guess what we do want you to do to kick us off is actually to the audience right now, to everyone who's joining in on the show, how would you define a startup? Please let us know in the comments. We want to hear from you, because language here is really, really important, and how we perceive things, right? So the words start up. How would you define it? Please pop your definition down into the comments. That would be amazing. So back to you, Julien. While everyone's popping their comments down, I want to really uncover your founder story, right? You're really passionate about helping dads build their business in harmony with their family, right?
Yes.
Tell us how you do that. But before you do that, I want you to take us back to that moment when you realized this was your actual calling.
Wow, there's different moments, but super quickly, I was like the straight A kids, like all good grades, and then get into the best job, and then get the best money, like great, and then I was not happy. So I'm like, crap. And then had my first kids coming on. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start my second business, and I'm going to have plenty of time for him because I'll be flexible and everything. Then I working on the business, working on the job as well as the second time. And 2 years later, lost 60K, lost my friendship with my co-founder, and had spent zero time with my son. So fast forward 8 years, I tried everything, a lot of things. And I'm finally on my fourth business, which is helping dads start the business while they still are embedded with their family, with their kids, and with their wife. And it's if I share the last key trigger, it was how old is my daughter? 7 years ago. My daughter was born. I was doing my PhD in entrepreneurship. I was like having, trying to have that flexibility with my kid. I was ready for her birth. Everything was fine. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
And she was delivered through a C-section. And I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an academic doctor, so I can't really tell you what really happened. But she came to life and then she died. And she died. She was dead, and she came back 20 minutes later. And at that time, I'm like, I haven't enjoyed her life. Like, and how unfair is this? Like, it's just like, like it's just taken away from you. And it doesn't matter if you're an electrician, if you're an academic, or if you're big CEOs. It can happen to anyone, right? And 20 minutes later, she comes back to life. Colors come back to her, but she came back with a brain damage. And now she has cerebral palsy. She's in a wheelchair, and she's the strongest fighter that I've ever met. Like, she is my idol as an entrepreneur, because she keeps on falling, like literally, and she keeps on standing back up and rocking. And from that moment, I realized, you know what? Work is not the priority. The priority is to be with your family right now. And what I found out is, if you do that, if you look after yourself first, then you future-proof you, then you future-proof your family, then it's so much easier to future-proof your career and your business, because everything gets aligned, and then you're pumped.
Oh my goodness! What is your daughter's name?
Her name? Saya.
Oh, that is beautiful. Can I just commend you for a moment right there for being vulnerable and sharing such a pure and precious part of your story.
Thank you.
That has led you to where you are right now. What kind of challenges were you facing back then?
What kind of challenges?
No, let's uncover that, because
let's do.
That's the human side of you, and that's what has laid the foundation to where you are right now.
You get into problem-solving mode, right? And as an entrepreneur, crisis comes in, and you're like, okay, how do I solve this now? What matters first? And for us was like, okay, we did an MRI after 5 days in neonatal intensive care, and they say there is a brain damage there. We don't know what it's going to do to your daughter. We can't tell until she goes through her personal development growth. So your brain goes first. I'm going to kill those doctors. So that's the first 3 days.
I mean, totally fair. I can only imagine.
Because you need to direct that anger, that feeling of unfair. Yes, right. So you do that. Then it doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. It's only you that are getting annoyed. And so now you move into problem solving, and we just started reading a lot about neuroplasticity, about brain damage, how brain rebuild themselves. So we were getting ready. We were pushing to go to see doctors earlier and earlier. And so we got her diagnosed when she was 9 months, when all diagnosis in cerebral palsy starts at the age of 1. And so by doing that, we were able to get her to the right therapist. And by doing more and more research, we found out, you know what, there's an amazing physio all the way up there on the Sunshine Coast who does pressure point. And we're like, okay, let's try it, because that's what we do as entrepreneurs, right? We try, see what works, what doesn't work. You do your research, you do your desk research, but you also need to try things and see if there's a result. So that's what we did. We went there to the Sunshine Coast for 1 week. The physio showed us how to do those massages. It's called Voita therapy. You do pressure point for 20 minutes, 4 times a day. Talk about being involved, right?
Yeah.
And for the first time at the age of 1, she was able to open her right hand. Like, she never opened her right hand before. And then when you see a sign like this, when you see such a good feedback, you have to act. So 2 months later, we moved to the Sunshine Coast to be close to that physio. We left everything behind, all the network we built in Manly, in Sydney, all the friends, all the people who'd been, bringing us meals when we were in hospitals, who'd been looking after Tayo when we were looking after Saya. We left all that, And but it was such a good move because it helped us realize what we need in life, a supporting network, but also the right medical care. And it was great. I continued my PhD there. I started facilitating entrepreneurship at the University of the Sunshine Coast instead of doing it at University of Technology Sydney. Started to know the entrepreneurial community there. And then 18 months later, the therapy stopped working on her for some reason, because things work for a while and then they stop. And you're like, okay, what's next? So you keep on looking.
Wow.
You keep on looking. And we moved to Adelaide because I got my first posting as a lecturer in entrepreneurship after finishing my PhD. Only took 5 years. And there, you have to get onto the NDIS. Don't get me started on the NDIS. Takes forever, blah, blah, blah. We meet other families because you always want to meet other people doing the same thing as you because they've been through it. They've solved their problem one way or another. They've been more creative. So I met those people, and the best way to meet them is to buy equipment from them. So I bought a walker from that lady in the suburbs of Adelaide, and I met her son, and she showed me pictures before and after a surgery that she'd done in the US, and the result were like crazy. I'm like, wow, this is really good. So I looked at that surgery. It was the less invasive surgery that you can do. There's a lot of invasive one, and as parents with no medical background, it's always hard to make this type of decision. So a non-invasive one, like, okay, cool. So you look at it, you do your research, and then you do your, you do your lean canvas. Okay, how do I bring the revenue? What's going to be the output? Who are doing it to reach? And we decided to do it, and the bill was $40,000. Not cover my Medicare because it was in the US. Doctors didn't want to support it, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, my wife and I, we were entrepreneurs anyway. We're like, okay. So we created a GoFundMe page, and then we went at it.
We're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen. Yeah, and so I started with my colleagues at work for the first week, and we put a target of $4,000, 10% of it, it will at least pay the trips to go there, the flight tickets to go there for two people. And because we wanted the four of us to go there because it's a family thing. And I started with a little box at the office, and I think I raised $400 in the first week, and I'm like, yes, 10% of the target. And then for the next 2 weeks, I reached, went on Facebook, went on LinkedIn, and I reached $1,200. I'm like, yes, like that feeling of those quick wins. And then my wife started. My wife has a following of 8,000 people on her blog in Japan. First week, she gets involved. We reach $4,000. Second week, $15,000. Within 3 weeks, we'd reach $40,000.
Wow!
And it was really interesting because you see that people want to be part of a project that is meaningful, like it's having an impact on an individual. It's a story that touched you because it's unfair, right? It's something unfair that happens to her, but there's a clear outcome. By doing this, by doing that donation, she will get closer to walking by one surgery. So we all learned this and realized that the more the fundraising or the crowdfunding was getting successful, the more people wanted to engage because people want to be part of a successful story. And then we went. She had a surgery on the 14th of March, 2018. I remember because it was my birthday. And we were in the snow in New York. And 3 weeks later, when we got back to Australia, she started to take her first steps. And it was like, Natasha, I can't. It was just amazing. You forget about all the hardship that you went through, and you just focus on her starting to walk. And of course, a week later, it started swollen because she put too much effort on it. The usual up and down story. But it was so powerful, and it was a good.
I can't even imagine what that feels like.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, this is a highlight. This is a positive side of it. I mean, in the back, you can imagine the depression here and there. You can imagine the cry. But you want to focus always on the positive. And what I've learned through this is that with my wife, with my son, with my daughter, we're stronger as a team. And it's important to reflect on everything you do. It's important to find out who you are as an individual. And it's important to share everything you do with yourself, your family, and your work colleagues and the people you run your business with. Because the more you're open, the more you're aligning your worlds, and the more everything you do is actually impacting positively everything else. If you work in different worlds and you try to compartmentalize everything, nobody knows what's going on, and they don't understand why you're not, being more productive. It's like, how come you're going on holiday again? It's like, whereas no, I'd done my fundraising. Everybody was cheering for me to go and leave during that very busy time. When we were teaching in the online MBAs. So it was a lot of learning. It was great. It was a lot of emotion. And, the fight is not over. She's not walking fully yet, but it has given her the opportunity to realize that she can train her brain to control her legs again, right? And that is just powerful.
That is incredible, right? So, there's obviously this is a timeline of events that hasn't happened in like 1 year. So give us firstly a timeline of how long this is, and also more importantly, about how you actually found purpose in the pain you were going through, because that's what I'm sensing your story is all about. In kicking off Future Proof You, your current business, where you're actually helping dads future-proof their business in harmony with their family, having that work-life balance. That's such a used and abused expression these days. Yeah. But but focusing purely on dads is it has such a personal connection to your story, clearly. So take us through the timeline very quickly, and let us know how you actually found purpose in your pain.
Look, my daughter was born in 2013, and the first 3 years, it's survival mode. Is like, finding the best, as I said, finding the best thing. And so you just think short-term benefits, and you kind of suppress your pain. And of course, everything comes on top of what was happening before, right? So I kind of hinted that I was like the straight A kid who then realized that, it wasn't happy by having a high-paying job, and so I was already going through a few sets of, depressions. And then like 2 weeks before my daughter was born, my doctor was like, Julien, it's time to get off the pills. It's perfect. You really got that. You really got on top of that depression. And then 2 weeks later, your daughter died in front of you, and your world just go bam. So I think it was survival, and you don't think about it, and you're like, okay, I know how to deal with depression. That's okay now. I know how to deal with that. The accident didn't help with the depression. But then once you get out of that 3 years, which, for every dad, every mom, every parent, the first 3 years of the life of your kid is tough, and it's survival anyway, because you don't sleep, and that's it. You don't sleep.
You had 10 years above that, and down the track when she was going through recovery.
Exactly. And then
it really birthed something in you.
Yeah, but then what happened, Natasha, is I forgot it. I forgot to focus on her. When I was in Adelaide, we realized that what we love was living at the beach, going in the water all the time, because it's good for Saya, because when Saya is in the water, well, she doesn't have disability anymore. Like she can move the way she wants. It's good for my wife. It's good for my wife because she loves surfing. It's good for me because I love swimming. It's good for my son because he likes climbing on rocks, right? And we're like, what are we doing in Adelaide so far? Because we were on the east side of Adelaide, so far away from the beach.
Yeah.
And so we realized that what we wanted was to come back to Manly, and I got a great job, like really high-paying job. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. This way, I'm going to be able to afford to live back in Manly, because Manly is expensive, and this is going to be for the benefits of my parents, my family. You know, I'm going to be the provider again, with a provider role.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't want to move there because this was 2 months after the surgery. And so she needed to have a team of specialists to go through a rehab in Adelaide, and everything was set. So I'm like, no worries, mate. I'll just commute every week. Oh man, I was doing storytelling, story time on Zoom at 8 p.m. and I was still sitting in my office. And it was a great purpose. It was a private college. It was about, it was running a business faculty focused on entrepreneurship. The team were awesome. The boss I was working for was amazing, such a mentor. But I was just putting so much pressure on myself. I mean, I was waking up on Monday morning, 4 a.m., going to the airport and then starting work at 10 a.m. In Sydney, coming back Thursday night. Of course, we had a campus in Melbourne, so on Wednesday I'll go to Melbourne. I mean, just a nightmare. And then, 4 months into it, my body, luckily, my body woke me up, and because it crashed. Had a skin infection, whatever. But my body woke me up and said, Julien, wake up. I taught you before, you don't have to work yourself so much, and you don't have to be just a provider just to help your family. You have to be part of everything. So I'm like, okay, I finally learned the lesson again and step back. And that's when I decided, all right, I'm going to start my own business. For the third time. I'm going to be building online courses in entrepreneurship to help more people transition toward entrepreneurship. I had a co-founder, and we started building, and I stopped working full time. I worked part-time at university as a lecturer and part-time on my business. And I started working with a coach as well, which was really, really important. For the first time, I'm like, Julien, you've started twice the business. You failed pretty badly. You've been an innovation consultant in corporate for 10 years, with big company Ernst & Young and all that. You have a PhD in entrepreneurship. You've taught, you facilitated, sorry, I don't teach entrepreneurship, I facilitate entrepreneurship. Design thinking, methodology, lean canvas, everything practical. But you still don't know how to sell yourself online. So I took all my pride, put it on the side, and I look for a coach that was specialized in, selling authentically online. Because I always sold B2B. So B2C was brand new for me, and I realized that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to own the relationship with my students. And so I did that, and it really, really transformed me, because from the get-go, I shared with my coach, look, I don't want to kill myself in my job, my business. I want to be able to enjoy the life with my family. I want to be present for them. So, and she was really, really understanding. And so, and I was really clear. So every time she was pushing too much, I said, no. I'm on the business 3 days a week. That's it. I'm part-time on the job for 1. And I just want to work 4 days a week and spend the rest with my family. And that's, I told her, but basically I told myself, and I started reflecting on this, and realized, man, the more I spend time with myself, the more I spend time with my family, and the more I share that in my business, the easier it gets. And everything all those worlds start merging together. And now you live in one world. And I love snorkeling, so I'll take the metaphor. I call myself a turtle dad. I love sea turtles. I mean, I don't know if you can see the T-shirt.
Yes, I can. But and it's also funny enough in your LinkedIn name.
Yes.
Got the turtle right there, man. That should be your business ambassador, like the ambassador.
Yes. It's starting to get there. But in the water, I snorkel every morning, and once a month I get lucky and I see a sea turtle, and they're like so majestic in the water. They're fast, but so they own that world. They're really good. And then they get out of the water and they start breathing, and then they go on the beach and they start landing the eggs. They manage to live in those two worlds, and they leverage the strengths and weaknesses of those two worlds, and it makes them stronger. And I realized that's what I am. That's what happens when you align all your worlds. You can go and leverage each of them together. So, and now the more I focus on this, the more I can help dads who are going through the same thing. And
Amazing.
I started a podcast. As any good entrepreneur, when you start a new thing, you start reaching out to potential customers. You can start doing customer interviews. So I took my phone when it was working, and I text everyone, all the dads in my contact, and I say, hey, I want to learn more about dads. Can we talk? Right?
Yeah.
So I did that. I interviewed 20 dads, found a lot of things. I just said, great, this is fantastic. Oh, I want to share those customer interviews. So I started podcast, and the podcast is called the Future Proof You podcast for working dads. And I have interviewed over 25 dads. And funny enough, all of them run their own business as well. And a lot for all of them, especially when it wasn't their first family, their first set of kids, or their first business, they realize that now in their business, in their new family, they want to focus on their family, and they want to still run the business, but run them together. And they want to be that modern dad who can be a provider, but also a nurturer at the same level, and share everything with their spouse, all the roles with their spouse. And then still 45% of dads, there's 25% of dads who are traditional dads, and they think their spouse should be the caretaker and the caregivers for the kids, and they should be the provider, and they're happy. And then you've got another 20% of the modern dads who think everything should be shared, and they do it, and they're happy. And then there's the rest of us, 45%, who wants to be modern dad, share everything, but we just don't know how. We keep working 100% on our business or in our job, and then we try to give 50% more there to the kids, but there's nothing to take from because you're already 100% to your job. And they're frustrated and they're not happy. So they're the one I work with, basically.
Tug of war that they have to go through.
Exactly.
On an everyday basis. It's incredible that you're able to help dads specifically, purely based on your own journey. And I mean, just hearing your story, I'm able to truly believe that you're very equipped. You're the ideal person to really assist, dads who have businesses and be able to help them balance family life as well as business life, and to thrive in that area while doing it. So here's what I'd like to do right now. Now that you've shared the background, for why you do what you do, which is amazing, incredible. I'm going to break this up and just ask everyone right now who's tuned in, do you have a question for Julien about his story? Please pop it into the comments. I'll be looking out for it over the next couple of minutes, so Julien can answer a couple of those questions. Oh, looks like we have now lost connection with Julien for some reason. I'm not sure what happened there. We were supposed to go into a rapid fire round. Unfortunately,
All right. Looks like I'm the one live now. Where is Natasha? Where did Natasha go? Guys, you know what happened? I click on the wrong thing.
Here we go. I think I had to exit and come back in again. And I don't know what happened there, but this is, again, a technological... Oh, it was you.
It's a human error.
Talk about really throwing a spanner in the works on a live show. Goodness.
Well, 10 out of 10 for the way you reacted. It was a test for you, Natasha. Well done. It speaks highly to your skill.
I've had a few of those moments on live television. And you know, we've had to deal with all sorts of situations in live television when I was a presenter. So this was no different. But thanks for throwing me into the deep end there. Now that you're back, Julien, I wanted to take you through what we call our amazing rapid fire round, which was meant to be at the beginning of the show. I wanted to go through your story because there was I just sensed that there was so much meat there that I think a lot of people really wanted to dig into, that would be so beneficial to everybody. So let's go into this rapid fire round very, very, very quickly. All right, we are going to rapid fire in 3, 2, 1. If you could buy any type of food right now, what would you buy?
Oh, sushi, easy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so quality over quantity.
I had that conversation this morning. Quantity over quality for parenting and for personal branding.
Amazing. If you could be any flavor of ice cream, what flavor would you be and why?
Seaweed flavor.
What? That is ridiculous. No.
Yes.
There's like an endless list of ridiculous with you. I shouldn't be doing this. Okay, it's rapid fire. It's rapid fire. What is your dream job, my friend?
I have my dream job. I run my own business and I help dads and I live with my kids. Dream job done.
Boom, baby. That's awesome. So what's your favorite hobby?
Snorkeling. Long distance snorkeling.
Very cool. If you were to do one thing before you die, what would that be?
Kiss my kids and my wife. That's it.
Bless your heart. What is the one thing that annoys you most about entrepreneurship?
That everybody thinks it's an overnight success. It's not, and everyone feel that imposter syndrome because we're not successing right now, but you are. It's about seeing those quick wins and to realize it takes more than 6 months, more than a year, more than 2 years. 4 or 5 years is pretty normal.
The one most irritating question you get as a startup coach.
Do I get any irritating question? Oh, yeah. Do you guarantee the results? Like, well, I guarantee the tools. I guarantee that, that those tools work. I do them in my classroom. I do them in accelerator program, in co-working spaces. But you're the one making all the decisions.
Yeah. I hear you loud and clear. I used to be a coach myself, so I get you. What is your favorite movie quote? And it has to be connected to your business.
My favorite movie quote, I don't know. I have a quote that I use all the time, which is that the best education a man can get is a fatherhood.
Oh,
how good is that?
That is just slam dunk right here. All right, so one last one. Are you ready for this? Last rapid fire round. I'm giving you a couple of seconds to think on it, right?
Okay.
Right now, have you ticked off your bucket list?
No, there's plenty of things to go. Come on. Plenty.
What's at the top of your bucket list right now?
Top of my bucket list is to keep traveling with the kids. We did Bali earlier this year, and we want to go everywhere where there's water. I want to show. I used to live in Tahiti. I used to live in Madagascar. I want to show them those places, and I want to do with them. And also without them. We do solo retreats. So I explained the concept of the solo retreat. The word solo is really, really, really important. It's you by yourself doing whatever you want without anybody. So we went to, it has to be agreed with everyone in the family, and it has to be a win-win situation for everyone.
Yep.
So an example is in January, we went to Bali, and then my parents came from France. We booked them in a 5-star hotel with pool, air conditioning, food, everything. We stayed there for 2 days. We gave them the kids, and we said bye-bye.
That's awesome.
Took a GEC, which is like the local Uber, and drove further south. We stopped by a surfing beach where I drop off my wife, Sachan, and she got into her Airbnb with air conditioning, perfect view, awesome. And then I kept on driving and arrived to my little spot, Bingen Beach, with my Airbnb, with no air conditioning, no window, but an amazing view and the ocean breaking on the building all the time. And it was fantastic. We spent a week like this, and we all got together after a week, and everyone enjoyed that. Everyone, well, especially my wife and I, we were able to reflect on the past 12 months and then able to plan the next 12 months. And I need more of this. I need more solo retreats, so we get recharged.
Yeah,
as a family.
I can imagine that so many dads who want to avail your help feel the same way as well. They can really relate to having their own time, having holidays with their families, just being able to enjoy life and not just slogging it out all the way through. And actually being able to enjoy the journey and not just the reward that one looks forward to when they eventually get successful. Because so many people actually aim for the success, but they forget to enjoy the journey along the way.
And as you said, it's forgetting to ourselves, and that's why I named my company or my hashtag Future-Proof You, because it starts with you, and especially for guys and for dads. Like, we can lose an arm and we're like, no, it's okay. I don't need to go to the doctor. It's like, no, we have to look after ourselves and to enjoy that journey, that journey towards success. And it's great to have amazing goals, but yes, enjoying them.
Awesome. Well, on that amazing note, thank you so much, Julien, for joining me on the show, Founda Story. For everyone who's going to be watching the show now or even as a replay, I welcome you on it. Pop your comments down, your thoughts about what Julien has to share. He has an incredible story that I'd love for you guys to share your thoughts on. And if any of you guys can actually relate to this, all you got to do, and if you want to get in touch with Julien, of course, you can also get in touch with him on this email address right here. Thank you so much, Julien. You've been an incredible guest on the show. And I really, really commend you for sharing your real, raw, radical founder story with me. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, Natasha. Thanks for having me. Well, you did ask for the raw story.
Yeah, and you delivered. You really, really, really delivered. Thanks heaps, Julien. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.